A society that is based primarily on the visual arts will be a stupid society. If that's the center of it, it will be an uneducated society because because visual arts don't have reason. Words can convey emotion, but they can also convey reason. And so in the Middle Ages, in the worst of the Middle Ages, you had the visual arts because they were what they called the gospel of the people. People could go on and look at the pictures because they couldn't read the book. But once people started to read, once you had the printing press, very rapidly, society became a lot smarter. Now, the movies have been our great art form in the last century. In the 20th century, the movies were the great American art form. But they're visual at their core. See, they started as silent films, which are almost all visual, all about the images, all about the faces. But when sound came in, briefly, you had a golden age of movies because suddenly you could talk, and they started to enlist playwrights to write movies. And in the great movies, I always say that the pinnacle of the movie industry was 1939. But that was the year that all the Oscar winners were also the most popular. All the Oscar nominees were also the most popular films and also the greatest films ever made. So you had Stagecoach, The Wizard of Oz, Wuthering Heights, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And with the exception of Stagecoach, which is a very visual film, these are all, it's not that they're not beautiful visually, but these are all films with a great deal of language in them and a great deal of talking. The script in those days, the typical script was 250 pages long. This typical script today is between 100 and 120 pages long. When I started in the movie business, scripts were 120, and now they're closer to 100 because it becomes more and more visual. Alfred Hitchcock was responsible for a lot of that. So movies become more visual. It's not that they're not beautiful. It's not that they're not wonderful to watch. It's not that they're not emotionally moving. But a lot of times they have become shallow. And this conflict between the shallowness of movies and their beauty and their excitement and their visceral energy is embodied in the work of Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is a brilliant, brilliant director. But it's interesting. Well, there's a book, a really good book about the second wave of great movies, which came in the 60s and 70s. It's called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, How the Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Generation Saved Hollywood, by a guy named Peter Biskin. And he blames Spielberg for being so much of a businessman. Spielberg and Lucas, who made Star Wars, he said that after Spielberg and Lucas, every studio movie became a B movie. But Spielberg's mastery of visual culture was captured by Peter Benchley, who's quoted in the book. Peter Benchley was the author of the novel Jaws. And the novel Jaws, I've read it. It's kind of a junky novel, and the movie is a great movie. But Benchley was unhappy with the movie. And what he said of Spielberg, he said, Spielberg will one day be known as the greatest second unit director in America. And I agree with this. A second unit director is the guy who you send off to film action. The main director doesn't go off to film the battle scene. You have a second unit director who does that. Spielberg is a genius when it comes to filming action, when putting action on screen. He is one of the greatest directors who has ever lived in doing that. It's just amazing. He is also a child as an artist. Now, I don't know him personally. I don't know anything about him. I'm not attacking him personally, but his insight into life is the insight of a little boy who was bullied and really doesn't understand the world very much at all. So if you watch Spielberg's earliest films, they're essentially children's films, and they are among the greatest films Hollywood has ever made. Jaws, one of them. E.T. is one of them. E.T. is the Christ story as told by a child, right? If you watch E.T., it starts with his two fingers giving the blessing. And then, of course, there's the scene where he dies and is resurrected. And of course, Jesus, when he ascends into heaven, he says, I am leaving, but God will send the helper, the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete will come and guide you from here on in. I have to leave in order for God to do that. And E.T., you'll remember, says to Elliot as he leaves, I'm leaving, but I will be right here. And he presses Elliot on the forehead, and Elliot starts because he knows that now E.T. is within him. The Holy Spirit is within him. It is the story of Jesus Christ. And you can say, well, it materializes that story by making Jesus an alien and making the power of heaven an alien power. But that's what fairy tales do, right? The fairy tales put our hopes and dreams and our spiritual feelings into physical form. So it is a fairy tale. And he does the same thing in talking about something else that he knows about, which is artistic inspiration. In another one of his great films, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Close Encounters has Richard Dreyfuss as a man. The spaceships go over and they implant an idea in Dreyfuss's head, the idea of this mesa where they're going to land their spaceship. And he becomes obsessed with this idea. And essentially, it's a metaphor for the arts. This is a guy who has had an inspiration. Now he's become obsessed with this idea and he has to work it out. And there's a famous scene, great scene, where Dreyfuss takes his potatoes, his mashed potatoes at the dinner table and starts to turn them into this mesa.
Well, I guess you've noticed something that's a little strange with Dad. It's okay, though. I'm still Dad. I can't describe it. What I'm feeling. And what I'm thinking. This means something. It's important.
As an artist and as a family man, I can tell you that is a very, very accurate scene, except for the tears because I'm not a wuss. But still, it's a very, very accurate scene of having an idea in your mind. It obsesses you. It takes you over. Why aren't you paying attention? Why aren't you doing the things you're supposed to do? Why are you staring out the window like that and not doing anything? Because this means something. I have to do this. It is a really good movie. It's a brilliant movie. Now, Spielberg grows up, he does these things, he becomes the richest, most famous director on earth, and he wants to make his statements about real life, his statements about the things that haunt him and bother him, like all artists want to do, and all artists grow up and they move into new things, and they're bad movies. Schindler's List is one of my least favorite American films. Not because it's not beautifully made. It is gorgeously made, not because it is not full of emotion. It is full of emotion. However, it is about a real event. The real event is the Holocaust. And it is not, it's about, obviously, it's about Oskar Schindler, who saved about 1,200 people during the Holocaust. Of the 6 million Jews who were slaughtered in an upsurge of evil that is almost unfathomable to us today. We actually don't know anything about that level of evil, even though we're going through an upsurge of evil in this sexual grooming of children. It's not the same thing as the Holocaust. If this were a little movie, a little low-budget film about an act of heroism in the Holocaust, it wouldn't bother me. But because Spielberg dominates Hollywood and because he is this huge businessman, it is released as the American film about the Holocaust. And so the American film about the Holocaust is this sentimental story of a guy saving lives, as if goodness were at the heart of the Holocaust instead of evil, as if the evil were not overwhelming. If you want to see the movie that is the great it's not an American movie, the great movie about the Holocaust, watch the lengthy documentary Shoah. You have to watch it over several nights, but it's still, everybody should watch Shoah because that is a story about what really happened. And there's no video in it. It's not disgusting. It's just people talking into the camera. And it is an amazing, gripping video. Every night I watched it, I had a nightmare. Every single night because it was so powerful, such a powerful depiction of evil. This is a sentimental Disney version of evil, and it even includes something that I found incredibly offensive, a place where the Nazi, played by Ralph Fiennes, gives you this crappy little Freudian idea about why the Nazis hate the Jews. The Jews represent femininity to them, and they hate the feminine in themselves, so they want to kill the femininity in themselves. This is a fundamental belittling of the power of evil, a fundamental misunderstanding of what evil is. And he repeats it in Saving Private Ryan when the Jew kills the Nazi, and it's clearly a sex scene. He clearly is raping the Jew with his knife when he kills him. It is an absolutely shallow and stupid scene, and it's a child scene. The other one that gets me, perfect example is Saving Private Ryan. He is such a good second unit director that the opening of Saving Private Ryan is epoch-making. It is a battle scene that no battle scene shot after that opening D-Day battle scene by Steven Spielberg has been unaffected by it. It changed the way violence is filmed on screen. That is how great a second unit director Steven Spielberg is. The rest of the movie is childish. It is all Tom Hanks going around explaining why we have to kill people. Well, we have to take this town to get that town, and we have to kill the Nazi or he comes back and kills the Jew. You know, it's as if it's like a child explaining why there's war, why some wars have to be fought. You know, it's like we know there's war. We know some wars have to be fought. We want to see the depth and interest, and it's just the little boyification of war. You want to see a guy, this like I said, he's like a bullied little boy who cannot face the fact that violence can be a good thing, or even though it's always a bad thing, it can also be the best thing you've got. There's a scene that drove me crazy in his fun version of War of the Worlds. Remember, the Martians invade. The little boy wants to grow up and get away from Tom Cruise, who's his father, and he runs away to get to the battle. And Cruise wants to stop him, but he has to go back and take care of his daughter. Here's a little clip.
I'm not letting you do this. You can hate me. You can hate me, but I love you. I'm not letting you do this. Dad.
It's gonna be okay. You need to calm down. I can't go with you, please. You don't got it.
Just listen to me. I need to be here. I want to see this. Wait. Just stick with Joseph, your sister. Please let me go. You need to let me go.
Now, that line, "I want to see this," drove me crazy because he doesn't want to see it. That's what a little bullied filmmaker wants to do. He wants to see the war. A little boy who's growing up and wants to break away from his father, he wants to fight. I have to be in this fight. That's what he wants. But Spielberg can't do that because he's a child. He just made West Side Story, and a lot of people on the right were saying, oh, it was woke. It wasn't woke. It was very nice, lovely, but there's no sexual tension in it because he hasn't reached puberty yet. The thing is, his film is not woke. I didn't find West Side Story woke, but wokeness is based in this childish view of life. It is based in this idea that, oh, it's icky that there's violence, and oh, it's icky that there's sex, and we have to do something about it. You know, we have to kind of take away all these values. It is a child's view of how they're going to fix the world by getting rid of the reality of the world. I'm not blaming Spielberg on this, but for the American arts to recover, it is going to have to deal with language. And it can't deal with language as long as wokeness is enforced, because language is a vehicle for telling the truth. It's a vehicle for telling not just the emotional truth, but also the truth that is based on reason, because if emotion is separated from reason, it becomes separated from reality. That is what is happening in our culture. That's why our culture is in a lull. It doesn't have to remain this way. It doesn't have to stay this way. It can come back, but we're going to have to talk about some of the ways in which it will come back, and we will do that in the future. You want more great content? Of course you do. Subscribe and like, and also subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.